6. We're going to start off with what exactly EWM is, how are we going to go ahead with, what are the concepts behind EWM, why is it that EWM as a module got evolved, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about all these, concepts today. So before that, I'll just, run you through what exactly and why is it that EWM was, basically, what was the reason behind going ahead for SAP to go ahead and start off with a module like EWM, okay? Right. So basically, EWM as a module, EWM was introduced, okay, was introduced to go ahead and run like, should I say, run as a decentralized system, okay? In warehouse management, okay, where there's something which is known as a decentralized warehouse management. So just like that, we've got something in EWM also. We've got, we can go ahead and have, it is used as a decentralized system, wherein EWM as a system would sit on a different box and would go ahead and get connected with your, or should I say, communicate with your ECC system. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So now EWM as a system was typically, it would introduced. You can say if you're talking about when it started off as EWM, it started off, you can say it started off sometime in the time of 2006, 2007. It started off, and basically over there at that time, when it started off as being as an extended version of warehouse management, which could go ahead and, it could start off and it would work with SCM, other SCM. It could basically be deployed in another SCM, another SCM box, which is probably holding APO or something like that. Okay. However, we can have the deployment of, if you're talking about deployment options, EWM can also be deployed in the same box as ECC. However, it's not advisable because it is always better to have two different boxes, one for ECC and one for EWM. So if you're talking about any of your clients, if there's any client that is going to go ahead with EWM, okay, the first thing, whenever we're doing a server sizing thing, that is the first thing that you'll go ahead and say. You'll say that you need a different box for SAP EWM and you have a different box for their existing ECC, or let's say the client itself is first going to go ahead and, start off with probably it's, this is many a times this might not be the case, but then, wherein most of the people who are wanted to shift into EWM, they already have a mature ECC system already in place. So these guys will they have a mature ECC system which they have been working on. They might be working on WM, or else they might be working on some kind of a different warehouse management software. Let's say like something like a Manhattan, or something like, they might probably be working on a system like Infor, or they might be working on, warehouse management software such as RedPrep. And then they might think of going ahead and probably going ahead and doing, getting some uniformication, getting a uniform, or should I say a proper well-connected warehouse management software. So if that is the case, then most of the clients would go ahead and think about going ahead and deploying EWM. Okay. Now, basically, when we go ahead and deploy EWM over ECC, okay, you can go ahead and do that. I'll just show how that would run basically, or how you'll be able to see that. Okay, now this, are you able to view my screen clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, now so this is the ECC system. Okay, so if I go ahead and deploy, EWM out here, if I go ahead and activate EWM out here, So this is extended warehouse management out here. Okay. I can go ahead and if I deploy warehouse management, extended warehouse management out here itself, then in that case, I might be able to run out here in the system. Probably we've not got that switch, but we can go ahead and get that switch of EWM to work on ECC. However, what will happen is if you go and deploy EWM on ECC, you will not have any distinguish, you'll not be able to differentiate. You'll not be able to differentiate your anything beyond your storage location. Okay. So basically, if you're talking about warehouse management, then in that case, the primary reason why any client would go ahead and implement any warehouse management software is because they want to differentiate, or they want to have a clear visibility of their stock below the storage location level. Okay, so now let's say if this is my if in MM, if I go ahead and say that, I want to find out if I'm not talking about EWM, if I don't have EWM out here, if I don't have, so then or let's say even WM, if I don't have WM also, then in that case, if I want to view the stock, okay, if I want to view the stock for any plant, okay, if I need to go ahead and view the stock for any plant, then I'll just let's take a random plant out here and let's see what stock does it have out here. So basically, when you're talking about warehouse management, over here if you see the company code, the plant, and the storage location. So if a standard warehouse material management org structure would start off with a company code, a plant, and a storage location. If we go ahead and deploy warehouse management, you'll be able to see where exactly the location within your storage location. Okay. Now let's say we're talking about a huge factory or a huge plant wherein we've got lots of spare parts. Okay. Now if warehouse management is not deployed in these plants, okay, in this plant, then in that case you'll only be able to see that probably an entire area in this case, in such cases, would be termed as a storage location. So for such cases, you will only be able to know that probably a material A or a material B is existing in some kind of storage location, let's say 1000 or 2000. But you will not be able to exactly find where the exact location of this material A or material B when we don't use warehouse management. Okay. Likewise, if you go ahead and deploy extended warehouse management on ECC, then the problem will be that basically the issue that you'll have that the client would face is that he will not be able to find or see EWM. You'll not be able to use the entire the functionality of EWM because he'll not be able to find out that I have certain products at certain storage bins. So then in that case, if I go ahead and deploy EWM on ECC, I will not be able to go ahead and clearly find out the exact location of a certain product. That is the reason why it is better and it is suggested that you have EWM over a different system so that ECC and EWM can communicate properly and you can go ahead and have a clear differentiation between all your products and their respective locations. Okay.
Yeah, Manoj, actually, I didn't understand one thing here. So you are
Sorry?
saying that you are saying that if we install EWM within ECC,
Mm-hmm.
we will not be able to use all the features of EWM.
Exactly.
So what do you mean by all features of EWM?
No, not all features. Basically, what will happen is if you go ahead and deploy it, okay, ideally they don't say, they say that you should not go ahead and deploy EWM over ECC. Because if you go ahead and deploy EWM over ECC, the first problem that you'll face is that you'll not be able to go beyond your storage location. Because if you see in ECC, okay, in ECC, what will happen is only if you activate WM, okay, if you activate WM, okay, I'll just show, if let's say if I'm talking about, I'll just write that down on a notepad and I'll show. Okay. Now if you're having a standard MM structure, let's not have that a notepad, I'll make that in an Excel sheet. Okay. So this is MM org structure. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're talking about an MM org structure, typically you'll start off with a company code,
Okay.
a plant, then it'll go down to the storage location. This is the maximum level that you can go. But if you're talking about WM, if you go and activate WM, then under that you'll be able to see the warehouse, the storage type within that, storage section, storage bin, and then finally you'll be able to see this quant, which is basically nothing other than the product or the material. Okay.
Okay.
This is WM. Now both these are within ECC.
Yeah.
Okay. Now if I go ahead and deploy EWM on ECC, okay, and not on a different box, then my standard org structure will only be this. So what will happen is, even if I have implemented EWM over here, I will not be able to go past the storage location.
Okay.
Okay. So you will not be able, so what will happen is, basically, that's the deployment. So basically you'll only be able to work with storage locations. So when you're going ahead and doing this, even if you have implemented EWM, you'll not be able to see all this.
Okay.
Okay?
I think
That's the reason why they always say that you go ahead and deploy all this. Let's say you deploy, if I go ahead and highlight this as ECC, you and highlight this as a different box. So I will say you go ahead and highlight this in the SCM, you go ahead and put this in the SCM box, and go ahead and put this in the ECC or the ERP box, if you don't want WM.
Okay. So what I can understand here is if we install EWM within ERP or ECC, so we cannot do any warehouse operations. We can just define a warehouse for the
APO?
No. So if we install EWM within ECC,
yes,
we will not be able to do any warehouse operations.
No, you'll not be able to. Basically, see, that's the limitation. You'll only be working with storage locations. You'll not actually be, then there is no use.
Yeah, actually.
You see, that's the reason why what happened is, when we had WM, okay, when WM was deployed, or should I say, when WM was warehouse management within ERP, when it was released, okay, it was supposed to work within ECC, okay?
Okay.
It was supposed to work within ECC. However, then they said that there might be cases wherein I have got a decentralized WM. A decentralized WM is basically, which you call it as a DWM, wherein you've got multiple ERP systems talking to one warehouse management software.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm talking. Let's talk about a client wherein there's a client which has got operations all across the world,
Okay.
and every instance, or should I no sorry, or should I say every country, okay?
Okay.
Every country they're treating every country not as a company code or anything, or should I say every region. Let's say they're treating the APAC region as one client. They're talking about the they're talking about, let's say, the Americas, North America region, as a different client or something like that. So all these clients, however, all of them are using the same warehouse management software, which is SAP EWM. Okay.
Okay.
But in this case, they will say that though you got multiple systems and all that, they will all go ahead and communicate with just one WM, and that WM software which will be there, that will sit on a different box.
Okay.
And then it will go ahead and communicate. So this is the case of decentralized warehouse management. Okay.
Okay.
Likewise, when now extended warehouse management, when it was introduced, they said that we will use the same concept of decentralized WM, but we will go ahead and couple this with supply chain management.
Okay.
Okay. The reason being, I'll tell you the reason, because they wanted to go ahead and introduce a lot of other additional modules. There's a module which is known as SAP Transportation Management.
Mm-hmm.
SAP Transportation Management. There's a module which is known as SAP Event Management.
Yeah.
They wanted to go ahead and offer all this. They wanted to go ahead and say that, okay, now we will talk about EWM as a supply chain. As it basically not be a ERP module. It will be a supply chain module, because then we will be going ahead and having an integration between EWM and SAP Transportation Management.
Mm-hmm.
EWM, SAP Transportation Management, EWM and Event Management. So that was their basic purpose, and that's the reason why they went ahead and deployed it on the supply chain box.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the reason why. That's the reason for it. Okay. And now, if you're talking about which version it goes as, the current version is supply chain SCM 7.
SCM 2007.
Sorry.
SCM 2007 or is it 7.2?
7.0, the version, if you're talking about the version.
Okay.
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 However, if you're talking about the current EWM version, that most of the organizations that are implementing are working on 7.2.
Okay.
And there's SCM, there's basically EWM 9, which is already been introduced, and it's being implemented in a lot of other organizations in the world. In few organizations, should I say, and there are few organizations that are already in the process. They've already, they've already bought the license, and they want to go ahead with the, they want to go ahead and implement EWM 9 over there.
Okay.
Okay. The advantage of EWM 9 is that you will be able to, with EWM 9, it's a part of something which is known as a supply chain execution platform 9. Okay.
Okay.
So what will happen is, in this platform, so if any client buys the license for this, the client will be able to use EWM. The client will be able to use transportation management.
Mm-hmm.
And the client will be able to use event management.
Okay.
So then you've got a entire system where you've got warehousing, you've got transportation management, and you've got event management, and all these three as one unit talking to your ECC system.
Okay.
So most of these typically huge organizations, let's say like a Walmart or a Nestle or a BMW,
Mm-hmm.
all these organizations are thinking of doing that, but I think BMW has not gone ahead with transportation management and event management. It's just gone, primarily with EWM, EWM 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but a lot of organizations want to go ahead with transportation management, because the existing LE transportation, okay, or
Mm-hmm.
TPVS, which they have, they want to say that I don't want to have Elytra and TPVS. I want to use this one module, which is transportation management, which takes care of all my needs.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the reason why they're going here with all of that. Okay.
Okay. Also, I think
Now
SCM will give supply chain network collaboration, some other model which
SCNC,
will, yeah,
SNC.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So which will automate the ASNs or
I'm sorry.
informs which will inform the customer automatically with the ASNs, or it creates the inbound deliveries based on the stock levels at customer location.
Mm-hmm. 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 See, primarily, if you're talking about the integration between SNC and EWM, are you talking about
No,
the sorry?
general details about agency as part of SCM.
No, I didn't get your question. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just telling about SCM module also. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
SNC module.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Yeah, you can.
Okay. So now that's basically a little bit about the deployment of EWM. Deployment of EWM. Now let's talk about a little bit about the features, or should I say the various functions that you can go ahead and that you have within EWM. Okay. And this we'll be discussing about basically functions about hello.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about
Manoj,
various. Hello.
Manoj, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
See this this APO different of
I can't hear you, Suhail. Your voice is breaking.
this, now you are able to hear?
Yeah, no, very clearly. I guess there's some there's some disturbance.
Okay.
Okay, so where we've got material that we've got inbound deliveries which come toward to the warehouse. We do the goods receipt of these products, and then we go ahead and store them within our warehouse. So that's the inbound part. Okay. There might be cases when we are storing these products, we also might be going ahead and doing some kind of a quality inspection. We go ahead and do some kind of a quality management for this. You know, all that. So that all this comes within your inbound process.
Okay.
Then the second process, once we've gone ahead and stored everything, once you've gone ahead and stored all this within the warehouse, then there is something which is known as an internal or you know, a housekeeping movement, wherein once you've stored all these products, there might be cases that you want to go ahead and shift, you know, for your warehouse optimization, to go ahead and you know, for your warehouse to be optimized so that you can go ahead and pick your products properly in a better fashion and all that. You might want to go ahead and you know, how do I go ahead and there's something, you know, the goods issue that you do. You'll be going ahead and picking all the products. You'll be going ahead and doing a packing of all the products that you receive. And once you go ahead and do a packing, we go ahead and send it across to them. Now, when you're doing the packing, okay, when you go ahead and do pack, there is something within EWM which is known as a value-added service. A value-added service. Let me give you an example of value-added service. Let's say that let's say you are the warehouse supervisor of a certain warehouse, and I am the client, and I am basically, you know, should I say, you know, a sports goods manufacturer. Okay. And I have already, let's say, a sports goods manufacturer, let's say a manufacturer of you know, cricket goods, you know. So I have probably sent something to you, you know, 1 month back, and what I've sent is I've sent you an entire an entire pallet, a full consignment, a consignment which holds, you know, cricket pads, a cricket bat, cricket ball, you know, a uniform, let's say a jersey, cricket shoes, you all this together and a cricket bag. I've not sent you because I'm manufacturing all this. Whenever I'm manufacturing all that, I just put it in different pallets or different cartons, and I just dispatch it to the warehouse. Now it depends upon the it is up to the warehouse personnel to go ahead and create all that as one product. So one product in this case would be a cricket bag, which will hold these cricket, the badge, a cricket bat, a ball, a jersey, and all the other, probably all the other stuff that you have, or stumps and all that. So all this will become one unit. Okay. So if I'm going here and creating something like that, if I'm providing a service like that, then it is known as a value-added service. Okay.
Okay.
Got it, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's called a value-added service, where what you're doing is you are first deconsolidating, or you probably, should I say, you are exploding. If you're talking about what we're doing is you're trying to open up all these cartons, all these pallets, and putting it in one big bag. One bag, you're creating multiple units of multiple cricket bags. Okay. So this, what you're doing is you're doing some kind of a packing out here. Or should I say you're basically making kits. You're making one cricket kit, a sports bag. So this is known as a value-added service, and this process usually comes in the outbound process. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever you see, sorry.
Is this possible in inbound also, during inbound also?
Yes. It's possible within inbound also. Basically, yeah, there might be cases that the client. It all depends upon the client requirement. Okay, you might have cases wherein the client says that I'm going to be sending you all these this cricket equipment, and I want to ship them out within 2 days. But then I don't want you to keep all these products within your warehouse just the way I've sent it to you. I want you to go ahead and prepare an entire unit as soon as you receive them, and then properly place it. Because what will happen is, when I ask you to send it, if I give you an order at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I want you to dispatch it by 2 o'clock or 2:30. So then if that is the case, these value-added services are usually done, this VAS, or value-added or VAS, these services are done during the inbound process itself. So then in that case, what will happen is, as soon as you receive the inbound delivery to your warehouse, you'll perform the goods receipt. Once you perform the GR, or the goods receipt, then you'll start preparing these kits. And once you prepare these kits, you'll be putting them in probably these huge pallets or something like that, all these kits, multiple kits, and then you'll be placing them in the storage bin. Okay? So this can also happen in the inbound process also. Okay?
Okay.
So that is the case of an outbound process. Then then there's something which is known as yard management. Okay. Now yard management is one process, just like value-added service. Yard management is also a very good feature within EWM. Now just consider your entire warehouse as not just a warehouse, but area that you have outside your warehouse. Because typically when you're talking about warehouses for huge organizations, they have got a gate. They've got this huge gate. It's like a complete gated facility, wherein you've got the main gate from where you've got the entire gate operations will run. So whenever any trailer or any truck or any kind of vehicle which enters the facility will have to you'll have to go ahead and probably the security at the gate will go ahead and give a gate pass to the trailer, to the truck and all that, and then they will come in. They will be docked within your warehouse at these various doors. You've got, let's say your warehouse has got multiple doors, like 10, 20, 15, 20 doors. But then the thing is, you would want, it's as good as, let's say, when you're at a railway station, Okay. When you're at a railway station, like, these huge terminals, huge, when you're at these railway stations, or let's say when you're at the airport, okay, the airport, you've got multiple planes, but the thing is, whenever you receive your boarding pass, they also tell you, which gate you need to go to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're talking about which gate that you need to go to, because in that case, then what they're telling you is they're channelizing you, they're trying to direct you to go towards one gate only. They don't just tell you that, okay, fine, this is your flight, go and find which gate it is. Because they want you to go ahead and say that it has to be in a structured way. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to do a little bit of passenger management, movement. Likewise, within warehouse also, there's something which is known as a yard management. So whenever you're receiving some kind of a truck or some kind of a trailer, you need to ensure that this truck or trailer goes to the designated door wherein all its products are going to be loaded from or unloaded to. Okay. So let's say if I've got 10 doors or 20 doors within my warehouse, it is not going to be in a regular scenario. You'll find out that most of those doors, let's say about 15 doors out of those 20 doors will be always engaged with some kind of a loading or an unloading activity. You'll have all these doors which are already engaged. So then in that case, we can't make, the personnel at the gate, he will not be able to go and tell you that, okay, fine, just go to any place and just park your vehicle out there. If the doors are engaged, then there has to be a facility or an area wherein you go and wherein the truck driver or the person or the trailer, trailer driver or something, he goes there and parks his vehicle. And once the door is free, then you'll take it from the parking lot to the warehouse. All this is known as yard management. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So within yard management, what will happen is all these these trucks will then go from the parking lot or from the gate to a specific door within the warehouse. It will go ahead and dock, or should I say it will go ahead and park next to the door. So then if it's an inbound delivery truck, so what will happen is there will be an unloading operation will happen. Likewise, if it's an outbound delivery, then there will be a loading operation will happen. Loading. So all these operations are this loading, unloading, docking to the door. All this happens within yard management. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is one process of EWM. This is one process that we have within EWM. The other process that if you're talking about within the warehouse, then in that case we are talking about going here and having we're talking about physical inventory. Okay, we're talking about physical inventory, wherein this is also a part of internal warehouse movements, or should I say an internal warehouse process, where physical inventory, just like in MM or any other module wherein you have physical inventory, you go ahead and verify physically whether you've got all these products out here, whether you manually go and count it, right? Likewise, in EWM also, we've got physical inventory, wherein you go ahead and manually do all the counting, and then this is either at the product level or at the storage bin level. Okay, but if you're talking about within MM, okay, or any other module, let's say an IS retail or something like that, or basically any inventory management module, then in that case you would say that, okay, fine, if I've got a plant, and if I've got, let's say, 5 storage locations within this plant, and I've got, let's say, 10,000 or 500 materials within this spread across these 5 these 5 storage locations, then I will be going ahead and counting all that, and then I know that, okay, fine, product, these 100 products are lying within this storage location. That's all that I know. I don't know where exactly they are, right? Whereas if you're talking about in WM or EWM, whenever a physical inventory operation happens, then in that case, we can have the physical inventory happening at the storage bin level. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So that's one process. Then there is another process within EWM which is known as labor management. Okay? Now, labor management is just like, or should I say, is more like more of a extended version. There is something which is known as a task and resource management within WM, within SAP WM. Now, labor management is basically a feature wherein whatever operations that you're doing within your warehouse, you need to go ahead and plan those operations, right? You need to go ahead and say that because at any point of time within the warehouse, you'll have some kind of an inbound operation happening, some kind of an outbound operation happening. You'll have some kind of, let's say a physical inventory happening in some area. You'll have some kind of a loading, unloading operation happening. There'll be some kind of a value-added service, that will be happening somewhere in your warehouse. All this, or there'll be some kind of a rearrangement. Now, as a warehouse supervisor, you'll only be given limited number of people to work in your warehouse. Because you'll have limited number of people, you'll have limited number of resources. Resources by mean, I'm talking about, let's say forklifts. We've seen, has anyone of you seen a forklift? How a forklift looks?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, a forklift. So you'll have limited number of forklifts. You'll have, basically they're all material handling equipment. So you'll have limited number of these. So then in that case, you need to go ahead and organize, or basically, organize them, or plan, how do I use them? So if I need to go ahead and do that, we'll be doing that with labor management. Okay. Now, one advantage of labor management within EWM is, wherein a lot of organizations, warehousing, companies which have got huge warehousing facilities and all that, and a lot of people working within the warehouse. One of the reasons why they use labor management is you can go ahead and have an integration of labor management and HCM, SAP HR module. The reason being is, what will happen whenever there are any kind of operation that's happening within EWM and all that, and you've performed and all your laborers and the laborers in the warehouse are performing certain kind of an operation, you can go ahead and track their performance based on the operations that they performed. Okay, and then based on all that, based on all those parameters or all those metrics, you can go ahead and use those metrics or the parameters in any of their future performance appraisals and all that. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So that's part of labor management. That's a labor management process that we can have. You can go ahead and basically, within labor management and using labor management and HR, you can go ahead and create a lot of metrics. You can create a lot of parameters, and based on those parameters and those metrics, you can ensure that your
Muted. Unmuted.
This warehouse executive has been working on over this entire month, and he's done so many shifts. Then we can see that we can go ahead and measure that and how many shifts he's done. Has he let's say I've got back-to-back operations, and I know that a certain operation will take not more than 10 minutes or not more than, let's say, half an hour or something like that. But then, and I've given him, let's say 12 operations across his shift. The 12 operations is, of 30 minutes each is equal to what? It's equal to 6 hours, right? But then this person, rather than taking 6 hours, he takes, let's say, 6.5 or 7 hours. Then I know that this person has not been able to go and do this. The number of wrong putaways, there might be many times it happens within a warehouse that, you receive a product and then you basically keep it somewhere else, and then in the system you see that it is kept somewhere else. So all these kind of metrics you can go ahead and you can go ahead and define, and you can say that fine, you can go ahead and give it like that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's part of labor management.
So actually, Manoj, what are the other resources we can have in warehouse, like forklift?
Sorry?
like forklift, what are the other resources we can have in a
Other
warehouse?
resources you can have, basically you can have all material handling equipments. If you're talking about these huge warehouses, there is something which is known as if you're talking about these container warehouses, okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of warehouses which has got, I mean, a lot of organizations. I'm talking about 3PL clients, third party logistics clients, let's say like a DHL or a UPS. All these organizations, they've got these huge warehouses. But then apart from these warehouses, outside their warehouse, they've got these huge open areas wherein they have these container yards. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So to shift your container from point A to point B, they use something which is known as a Kalmar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is also an equipment. That also you can talk about as a resource. You can talk about all these warehouse executives who are there. You can use them as a resource.
Okay.
Even man lifters can be.
Sorry?
You have that up and down, right? Man lifter.
No, your voice is breaking. I couldn't hear you.
1 minute. Even man lifter can be so right. And you have man lifter who the person up and down.
Manual labor.
Man lifter.
Man lifter.
I will type it.
Manoj, it is a man lifter. He is saying.
Man lifter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, you can have. See, basically, it all depends upon how you want to go ahead and deploy. How you want to go ahead and create these resources within labor management. We've got these resources, right? So within resources, we've got multiple resource types.
Okay.
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 So you can go ahead and create multiple resource types, and based on that, you can have these multiple resources.
So RFID will be a separate resource type or a part of this forklift vehicle?
It's part of the forklift, right? Because RFID is a technology.
Yeah.
Okay. RFID is a technology. Now what happens is in RFID you have these RFID scan. When you go ahead and implement RFID, okay. So all these forklifts, they have got this RFID scanner attached to the forklift.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever this forklift is moving, you have this RFID scanner attached within the forklift. The area wherein you lift this, the pallet or the carton or whatever. So that's where this RFID, and then you have got these RFID tags on these pallets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So RFID is basically a technology. If you're talking about RFID as a resource, no, you'll have forklift as a resource.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. If you're talking about, let's say, these RF scanners, are you talking about RF scanners?
Yeah, RF scanner.
That I guess that is something which comes as an equipment. It's not a resource as such.
Okay.
That's like an equipment. Probably when you're using plant maintenance, when you're talking about plant maintenance and EWM, then in that case you'll be within ECC you'll be, because all these are assets, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time they're equipments. So there might be times that you need to have these. I mean, everything, all this forklift and all this, they all can be kept as equipments. They'll be kept as equipments within plant maintenance.
Okay.
Because there might be times wherein your equipment goes, you have to go and take it for maintenance and all that. So all these functionalities usually are used within plant maintenance. So when that is the case, then you go ahead and block these resources in EWM.
Okay.
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 Yeah. That basically was about was about the process within EWM, which is known as labor management. At the same time, there's another concept. There's another concept within EWM. There's something which is known as a storage control. Okay. Now, yeah. Basically, I'll just explain what exactly a storage control means. Now, let's say you've received you are at the warehouse. Okay, you are at the warehouse and you receive the example that I spoke about. These of this cricket manufacturer. Okay, cricket sports kit manufacturer. So basically, you've received an inbound delivery. Okay, you received an inbound delivery, and this person has asked you to go ahead and say he's told you to, before placing all these products within the bin, you have to go ahead and create multiple kits. Okay, this is what he's told you. Now, when he's told you all this, you're receiving a truck, an entire container filled with all this. We've received with cricketing pads, you talk about cricket balls, stumps, bats and all that. And you have a bag also. You receive all these pallets within your warehouse. Okay, that is the first step. You do the unloading operation. Okay. Now, after you do the unloading operation, like the customer had requested you, you want to do these value-added services, right? Right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you want to do these value-added services, the first thing before you do this, before you go ahead and take it within your warehouse, within any warehouse, what they do is, if the pallet or the carton is sealed, okay, is sealed, and it should not be opened. I mean, you're receiving an entire pallet and you're sending an entire pallet, okay, and it is not to be opened anything, it's not to be opened and all that. Then in that case, there is no counting or there's no physical verification types that happens.
Okay.
Okay. However, let's say that in this case, let's say in this case wherein the client himself has asked you to open the pallet, open the carton, and then put all that as a different kit. Then in that case, after you do your unloading, the next operation that you'll be doing is you'll be doing some kind of accounting. Okay.
Okay.
Now the thing is, all this counting will not happen at the next to the warehouse door, because the thing is that as soon as this consignment is over, there's already another truck which is waiting for that door, right?
Okay.
Yeah. What will happen is, once you do the unloading, that is process 1. The second process or the second step is you'll do some kind of counting. So you'll shift all these pallets from that area to another area wherein you do the counting. Okay. So that is process 2. But then the area which I need to take this to is a separate area within the warehouse. Okay. I can't just take all these products and take it to a certain area and start counting. I'll have to take it to a designated area. Okay. Now this is something that the warehouse supervisor, you as a warehouse supervisor, will not do. You will have to make the system direct the warehouse executive, because out there at the the loader or the unloader, whoever is working, the warehouse executive, because you can't be at all the warehouse doors, right?
Yeah.
You'll have to ask the system should go ahead and ask the user to take it to a certain area. So that is this communication that will happen. Okay, this communication take it from area 1 to area 2, that is done by the system. Okay. Then once the counting is done, then you start doing these value-added services. You open all these boxes or open all these cartons, and then you make these cricket kits. And let's say you've got one pallet which can hold, let's say, 5 of these cricket kits, these cricket bags. Then you place all these 5 bags in this one pallet, and then finally you go and keep it in the storage bin. So if you see this entire cycle, you'll see that there are 4 major steps. You have the unloading, then from the unloading area it goes to the counting area, then from the counting area it goes to this VAS or the value added services area, and then from there it goes to the main bin, right?
Yeah.
So this, if you see that, this is known as a, what you're doing is you're controlling the storage movements through a process. So this is known as a process oriented storage control.
Okay.
So all this from moving from the unloading area to the counting area, this is something which you don't have to do. This is something which the system will ask you to go to. Okay?
Yeah.
So this concept is known as a process oriented storage control concept. Got it, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So this process is used in most of the warehouses. You know, most of the warehouses wherein they've got multiple operations, and like just like this happens in the inbound delivery, you know, likewise you can use that in the outbound delivery also, outbound process also.
Manoj, 1 minute. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. Tell me.
Process-oriented layout control. I mean, use any other type of storage control or from this process?
Yes. There's something in the layout-oriented storage control also. The voice is breaking, Sohail.
No, how is it different from this process-oriented?
Okay, see, within process-oriented storage control, okay, you're saying the primary difference. If you're talking about, you know, how do I go ahead and differentiate between, you know, process-oriented and you know, layout-oriented? Basically,
Yeah.
you over here, what you're doing is you are talking about, you know, one wherein you're going ahead and with process-oriented storage control, you'll only be able to work with process-oriented storage control if you have HUs, if you've got handling units.
Okay.
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 Next thing is basically out here you've got multiple steps. You've got multiple steps within process-oriented control. Like I told you, like you're doing some kind of an unloading, you're doing some kind of a counting, then you're doing some kind of a, you know, you're doing some kind of a vast operation, and then you're finally going here and keeping it in certain area.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're talking about layout-oriented storage control, what you do is you from your source to your destination, whenever you're moving it whenever you're moving anything from the source to the destination, at that time there might be cases wherein you'll have to do some kind of an operation. So what you're doing is you're moving it from one area to the other area, or let's say from taking it from the source to the destination, you're moving it to specific intermediate areas. Okay.
Okay.
So out here you're talking about the entire layout within your warehouse. If you're talking about a layout within a warehouse, you'll say that, you know, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, move certain products from a certain area within your warehouse, certain bin within your warehouse, to another intermediate area, or an intermediate, you know, should I say an intermediate bin. Okay. So if that is the case, then in that case I'm talking about over here, I'm not talking about an operation that has to be conducted. I'm just saying that it has to be taken from one area to the other area. So over here I'm not talking about processes. I'm just saying that it will be taken from a source bin to an intermediate bin, and then from there I will be taking it to a destination bin. Whereas when you're talking about, you know, process-oriented storage control, you go ahead and define what are the processes that will happen, and within that processes, which is the bin that you need to take it to.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the primary difference between both of them.
Yeah, but if I have
voice is breaking, sir.
1 minute, let me speak a little louder. If I
Hello. Suhail?
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, now I'm able to hear you. Tell me.
Layout-oriented process layout. What is it?
Layout-oriented storage control and process-oriented storage control.
Okay. If I have layout-oriented storage control, then I can't have loading, counting, packing. Those things cannot be done.
No, you can have that. Then you'll be using a combination. You'll be using a combination of process-oriented and layout-oriented.
Okay.
You can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that also. But then it's basically you can have both these types of storage controls within your warehouse. Okay, you can go ahead and use that. However, the triggers for both of them will be different.
Okay.
Okay.
Triggers in the sense. Triggers is what?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay. Process-oriented storage control you understood, right? When I'm receiving a product, I want to go ahead and unload, count, whatever. I want to do multiple steps and I want to keep these products at a certain place. Layout-oriented, let's say, you've got a certain, you basically your carton, okay? You know, the carton that you have, you know, these HUs, handling units. Let's say they are all of 700 kgs. Okay? You've got a certain product which is, you know, multiple, you know, you've got, let's say, you've got certain product wherein it is all, everything, it sums up to 700 kgs. And you've received, let's say you've received a dispatch or a delivery of you know, 3000 kgs. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the thing is, if you receive something for 3000 kgs, then in that case, you'll either have to take in 4 cartons or 4 pallets, or else you'll be able to take 5 pallets, right? You'll not be able to, either you'll have 2800 or 3500 pallets, 3500 kgs, right? Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So then in that case, basically, when you're doing this, but the thing is, now they usually in export scenarios, you know, when you're doing some kind of an export, when you're working on export processes, if the client has asked you for 3000 kgs, you only will send him 3000 kgs only, right?
Yes.
So then in that case, what happens is, in such scenarios, what will happen is you'll basically you'll do a deconsolidation. What you'll do is you'll open up the boxes, okay? So if you're taking 5 you know, 5 pallets, what you'll do is you'll open up the 5th pallet, you remove 500 kgs from it, put it in a different box, and you'll only send 4 pallets and the 5th pallet with 200 kgs in it.
Right.
So it's in such kind of cases, you know, such kind of cases wherein you have to go ahead and, you know, send partial pallets. You know, in such kind of cases, you can use layout-oriented storage control.
Okay.
So what happens is, whenever you're receiving something like this, you're receiving an order, and the system finds out that you know this pallet has to become a partial pallet. So the system automatically, that's a trigger for it. System automatically will take it to a certain area within the warehouse or within the at the loading bay. It will take it to a certain area. It will take that specific HU over there, and it will ask you to, you know, deconsolidate it. So that's when you can use a layout-oriented storage control.
Okay.
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 Yeah. So that was basically you know, storage control within the warehouse.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's another feature within EWM. There's something which, you know, and it's there in WM also. There's something which is known as cross-docking. Okay. I'll give you an example of cross-docking. Let's say you've got a warehouse, okay, and you've got, let's have an example of Walmart. Okay. Now Walmart has got multiple sites within the warehouse. Has got multiple sites, has got multiple stores all across America, and it has got this one huge warehouse wherein you know, it receives a lot of products from the vendor, and then likewise it has to send. Now let's say it is Christmas season. Just giving you an example, random example. Let's say it's Christmas season, and there's a certain product which you know, let's say these Christmas trees or something that are toys or a certain type of toy, which is getting you know, which has got this huge demand, okay, and it is being sent by a certain toy manufacturer, let's say Mattel or something like that, okay. So then in that case, you know, what you'll be doing is, as soon as you receive these products, you have to go and dispatch them, right? Hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as you receive these products, you'll have to go ahead and dispatch them. So when you're going ahead and dispatching these products, so then in that case, since these products are very fast moving products, as soon as you receive them in your warehouse, you need to go ahead and dispatch them. So you don't have time to go ahead and do a put it away. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So then in that case, what will happen is, for such kind of products, as soon as you receive it at your loading and your unloading bay, you will do a dispatch and you will want to do a loading of this. So you already have a sales order created against this. What happens is, let's say you've got a certain, you received this product from a customer. Okay, you received it from the customer. As soon, your vendor. As soon as you receive it from your vendor, you want to dispatch it to all your sites. Okay, so in such cases, you'll be using cross-docking.
Okay.
Okay, so that's basically the concept of cross-docking. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what I'll do is let's wrap it up over here today. Okay.
Okay. I have few questions. If you're done with the futures.
Yes. I'm done today. Tell me. Ask me.
Okay. So actually, I used to hear these words, goods issue and goods receipt, but what does that mean physically? So if I go to a warehouse, and what they will do for a goods issue or goods receipt?
Okay. Goods receipt means, okay. Goods receipt means you're receiving something.